Everyone wants the secret YouTube hack. I tested one. What if leaving the house boosts your views? Yes, really. I think I've mentioned it in other videos up to this point, but I finally concluded testing the first month and I thought I'd share that with you, the results. But before we get into all that, be sure to give this video a like. Comment YouTube hacks you've heard about and whether you've tested them to and gotten any results, or if you think I'm reading too much into what could be coincidences. Don't forget to also subscribe for cultural commentary and rants from a man caught between generations. And last but not least, feel free to join me at the Zillennial Nexus Point Discord. Link will be in the description below. So, this all began back in April when my first huge spike with the American manufacturing jobs video occurred. It started building up a little bit over the course of the day before. For context, it was published on April 20th, started gaining momentum on April 21st, and then on April 22nd, when I went to see The Martian at the Mugar Omni Theater at the Museum of Science in Boston, that's when views started to go through the roof. I thought it was just a one-off, but then views and such eventually declined and kind of went back to the baseline. But then in June, my biggest performing video of all time as I record this one, the stay-at-home sons one, surged in viewership while I was waiting in line at the mall a few towns over. My biggest video started doing better while I was at the mall. And then July, after the slump that I think came from the rebrand from Henry's Stream of Consciousness to Zillennial Nexus, I literally got a spike in impressions and viewership on the day I went to see the Moonwalkers and then went to Adult Night at the Museum of Science. Like, that is my best day in July. And that one was in a slump compared to June. But anyway, all of this was too weird to ignore. And so by the end of July, I decided to track every outing and upload over the course of August to figure it out. My core thesis was that leaving home and going places and checking YouTube Studio while there gave me a boost in the algorithm. I wanted to find out whether it was an amplifier or automatic increase in exposure. I would track whether I left the house on each day, and then I would log my destinations, the time of day that I was out, whether I opened YouTube Studio from home, and then the overall channel's view count and impression count, and then the new videos, views in first 12 hours, and impressions in first 12 hours, as well as any notes. So, August 17th, living at home is breaking me. That was the day I went for my big, prolonged walk to escape my mom's psychotic cleaning frenzy. I was gone from 10:30 a.m. to 2:50 p.m. I opened the studio app away from home multiple times and got 85 views off 2,962 impressions over the course of the day for the channel overall. While that specific video got 39 views by the end of the first 12 hours, which was midnight that night, off of 1,328 impressions. Meanwhile, August 28th, but it's always been done this way, got 12 views off 93 impressions in the first 12 hours. Meanwhile, the overall channel got 805 views off 14,403 impressions. I did not leave the house at all that day. And I noted that the spike began on Wednesday night at about 11 p.m. But yeah, that was just a point that was a little contradictory of my hypothesis. August 30th started to make me wonder if the Museum of Science might be a magic algorithm visibility booster, if you will, because there was a steady hourly climb for the channel from when I left for Boston on that day. This is with my video, Why Gen Alpha Feels So Different from Us. So August 30th, I was gone from 2 o'clock to 8:45 p.m. Checked YouTube Studio multiple times. I went to South Station, walked to the Museum of Science in Boston, and I went to Blaze Pizza in Cambridge for dinner before heading home. On that day, I got a grand total of 597 views off 14,661 impressions. That video overall, Why Gen Alpha Feels So Different from Us, got 42 views off 1,435 impressions in that first 12 hours. And I noticed when I looked at the real-time view count, views literally kept on climbing by the hour. Like each hour got more views than the previous one from when I left up until the peak being the 6 o'clock to 7 o'clock hour while I was seated for my screening of Jaws. This was the third time in a row where I went to the Museum of Science and my visibility and viewership in the algorithm got boosted. At this point, I am convinced that it is no coincidence. But I'm going to have to test further and maybe test with a little less time between trips to get conclusive proof. Anyway, there are also some lows that I think are worth talking about. Like August 5th, the day I went to see the Fantastic Four First Steps at the movie theater that's near the instant gratification job. That day's video was You're Not Too Picky, dating apps just trained you wrong. I did leave the house from 11:35 a.m. to 3:30 p.m., where I went for a walk around the mall before going into the theater for my movie. And when I checked the real-time views after the fact, I noticed there was a spike of 24 views during the 2 p.m. hour, with single-digit counts for the surrounding hours. And this was during my movie, by the way. So yeah, that video got a grand total of 7 views off 40 impressions, with the channel getting 47 off of 198, which was down from 122 channel views total off 2,007 impressions. Although the new video's views in the first 12 hours was up in comparison. Anyway, what really contradicted my hypothesis with Boston in general being an amplifier was that I went out on August 19th to the Boston Common. I told you all about that trip in a previous video, but on that day, like the grand total for August 19th for the channel was 15 views off 299 impressions, down from 30 and 508 for a day where I just went to the instant gratification job and went home. And the new video only got 2 views off 31 impressions. And this was a day where I went to South Station, the Boston Common, and the AMC at the Boston Common. And when I checked the real-time views, I noticed that I literally got no channel views at all over the course of the 2 o'clock hour when my movie started, all the way up until I think the 7 or 8 o'clock hour after I got home. I mean, that wasn't as bad as my weakest day in overall, August 13th, which had the Your Good Old Days Were a Mess video. All I did was go to therapy, the grocery store, and then home. I got a grand total of 13 views off 643 impressions for the channel, and 4 off of 324 for that specific video in the first 12 hours. So the overall pattern that ChatGPT and I came to the conclusion of was that movement boosts strong packaging, but it never rescues weak ones. Anyway, everyone looks for hacks, but the truth I discovered is that YouTube only amplifies the behavioral signals if I'm out and about, but only if topic or title resonate. So there were some exceptions. Like on August 3rd, I got a grand total of 236 views off 3,860 impressions. This is when the real reason Gen Z is quitting so fast from August 2nd started gaining momentum for whatever reason. But yeah, this was still up from that previous day where I did not go out, I did not leave the house. Yeah, August 19th's trip to downtown Boston with my views flatlining while I was there proves that location is not completely causal, especially because why society shames single men for living at home was weak for the first 12 hours, only 8 views. And granted, that was a day that I did not leave the house at all. And then the 27th, I went to therapy and then straight home. And the spike in views and impressions came over the course of the final hour, the 11 p.m. hour. So yeah, that one was a slow burn where it was kind of typical on in the first 12 hours, and then about, what was it, 24, about 35 hours later, it started to do way better. And I didn't go anywhere out of the ordinary, so make of that what you will. Anyway, the big takeaway from August was that I now have 3 trips to the Museum of Science in a row that are now linked to spikes in viewership and impressions. I'm going to need to test more to figure out whether it is a magic amplifier, because I only got 5 views total on Halloween 2024. And that was the day I went to the museum for the entire day, and then to the Boston Common and the AMC. And I only got 5 views overall that day, but that was when the channel was like not even 10 days old, so ChatGPT said I hadn't built up enough algorithmic trust, whereas by April 22nd, when I went to the museum for the Martian, I had built up more algorithmic trust. And then obviously by July, I think I did that, but the weird thing about July was that it is literally the highest performing day of that month. And I had been in a slump up until that point. Maybe by the end of August, I finally rebuilt the algorithmic trust that I had lost when I rebranded from Henry's Stream of Consciousness to Zillennial Nexus. But the core rule to take away from all this, like what I learned, is that topic, title, and thumbnail always come first. Those are always the priority. If I have a strong topic, title, and thumbnail already, or if I change it while I'm out, location seems to be a bonus push based on the patterns I observed from the data. Yeah, I thought I'd hacked the algorithm by just going into Boston. It turned out the real shift wasn't the location, it was learning what stories actually stick, what kind of videos perform well. The museum might help, and again, I have to make more trips there with less time between them to be able to conclude once and for all whether there is something magic about that spot or if it's all just a coincidence. But the real booster was how I framed the story and the topics I chose. Anyway, I think I'm going to leave it here for the video. Let me know in the comments down below if you think I'm reading into this a little too much. if I'm overthinking this, or if you think that this experiment was worth the effort. Don't forget to also like the video, subscribe for cultural commentary and rants from a man caught between generations. And last but certainly not least, feel free to join me at the Zillennial Nexus Point Discord. Link will be in the description below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.